So in light of previous videos' brevity and giddiness, I'd like to talk about a serious topic, a personal thing that happened growing up. And I was a very sensitive child, very emotional. I would cry a lot. I would have a lot of anger that would be turned inwards. I would be incredibly depressive and melancholic. I'd be very isolated. I wasn't able to make friends very easy. And when I did make friends, I was just totally obsessed. And so there comes this time where I'm about 12 years old, and I'm just sobbing my eyes out, and my brother is abusing me, not hearing me out, not having me heard, and I'm just sitting there really pathetically, just begging for just peace amongst us. And then he leaves and he comes back and he leaves and he comes back and leaves and he comes back and he just kind of sits there and just makes me look like a fool. Just shows me how useless it is to feel, essentially, and how it gets you nowhere. And then suddenly just something clicked, or something died in me would be a more precise evaluation. Something died in me, and I stopped crying and I stopped feeling after that point, for years, until it would come back, sporadically as I got deeper and deeper into like self-destructive behaviors and all that. But something died in me, and some could say, oh, you matured just then. You matured. You stopped being a crybaby. But really, the way I see it is, you have now divorced yourself from feeling. You've opened up your heart of stone. You've developed into it. You've let the child die. You've let it down. You've just snuffed it out with a pillow, and you're now open and desensitized to being abused, abusing others, abusing yourself. Because it was only shortly after that I actually started my sexual life, which is an incredibly abusive one. Horrific stories left, right, and center. Yeah, absolutely brutal, absolutely brutal. And slowly but surely, I started winning that back, winning that side of me back, and feeling again. However, it all kind of began like that was all set up for when I was 6 years old. And my brother comes to me and he's telling me, look, you're going to go to hell because you've lied 3 times and Jesus says that he sends you to hell for that. And so I just had enough, because everything is just hard and difficult, and there's no love, and there's, growing up in this narcissistic family. But then being taught about Jesus, but then being taught every single heresy that can come out of heretical thinking, so that he is such a confusing figure, such a man figure, that we don't really care for him. We really care about the Superself and its permissions that gives, rather than who the man Jesus would think about us, or who he is, or what he's done for us, or anything like that. And so I was the last one holding on. As a young, naive person, I would pray the hardest, I would shout the loudest, I would, do all that stuff. I would, stay as a good boy with my mum and dad, wouldn't do anything naughty. And so at about 6 years old, I give it up. I go out into a barren place. But basically the scapegoat scenario. So I've gone out as a scapegoat, I've gone into a wilderness area, and I've declared allegiance to any other spiritual being and entity, and any other righteousness that is apart from Christ. Whoever's righteousness that is, I am loyal to it. And I declared that and believed it in my heart and wholeheartedly. Kind of like bringing the sins out of my family and of my people, and bringing them out into the wilderness to be killed, I guess. But in the end, they kind of lived on. And so then I was in and out, up and down, off and on. I couldn't really read the Bible. Not that I couldn't read, I was an excellent reader, but the Bible we had, it didn't make any sense to me. They didn't have a kid's Bible, and all the movies didn't really make any sense, so I never really got to know the man Jesus until I was about 18-ish. But during that path, 20-ish, during that path, I get to 12, so I'm still actually, he's still merciful to me. I still know him somewhat, and I'm still feeling, and I'm still, real and suffering and all that. And then that event comes at 12, where just the abuse is just constant. My brother has stayed home. He's usually out, and he stayed home, and he's just molesting me, not molesting me. In Spanish we say molestarme, which means to annoy. So that's what I meant. Anyway, no, my brother was never sexual with me, which is great. Anyway, he was annoying me, and until it got to that point, I was so emotional, I gave it up, became a heart of stone, and I was then open in my puberty, which was just around the corner, to just do all sorts of wicked things to people and to myself, and just defile myself in any which way, with smoke and with drink and with women and with porn and with whatever the hell I could defile myself with crude words, with thoughts of murder, with drunkenness, like whatever. And so it was so perfectly timed that just coming up to 13, the Superself is telling to is ordering about. This is essentially, it comes from Lucifer, the first narc, essentially, through his authority that the family has given themselves over for riches, for fame, or for whatever, for comfort, for women, for the freedom to be adulterers and fornicators. That's you have that freedom in God as well, because he allows Satan to work. Anyway, so in that freedom, in that super self, I am now just at the precipice of getting all the testosterone that you can get as a young man. I am broken down into a hard husk of non-empathetic, narcissistic trash. And so then I'm let free on the world, and I start going out, and I start just doing all the wrong things all the time, as much as I can. But it really just is weighing on me, because I was the last one to go emotionally as well. Just like I was the last one to go spiritually and emotionally, maybe because I was just the youngest. But yeah, it was very rough, those late adolescence years, because I started to really start having the mental health killer from following this narc system. I was really, really not right up there. And then that translated into health issues, and then some years later I end up getting my gut cut out, and I lose all my weight, I nearly die. I can't eat, I can't drink, I can't move from bed for a good year and longer. I was suffering for a lot longer. It still visits me now as much as it likes to, but it will never get to that point again ever. And so, yeah, what a rough road. And so the point of this video, it comes down to these points you can see in your life where you get taken and you get groomed, and you follow the paths of unrighteousness, calling it good and calling good evil, and it's horrible and it's brutal. And in the end, I took loads of psychedelics, and I was just on this mission, following logical chains, going through atheism, going through every single paganism, going through every single religion that existed to get to the truth of things. I was obsessed with the truth, heading to university. And then I started getting involved in traditionalist culture, in fascist culture, in purity culture, anti-porn, anti-all this, anti-drink, anti-smoke. I believe that was the right path, and that just really just resonated with me. And then I started realizing just logically that, wait a minute, there's this higher God that's above these pagan gods. And I go to my partner at the time, and I'm like, hey, why don't we go and worship this higher God that created all these pagan gods? And it's like I just committed adultery right in front of her. She was so upset, even though we weren't married. And then soon after, I realized I really love this woman, and if I want to honor and respect her, I'm going to stop having sex with her outside of marriage, because it's the honorable thing to be intimate with a wife, be intimate with a woman inside of marriage. Outside of that, it's not honorable, and I want to honor this woman. And so she thought that I was hating her. I was going against the narc system, the super self, and all that. Going against the abuse avenue, which is the self-worship avenue, is abuse and destroy and defile, I was going against that. I wanted to honor and lift up and bring glory. and she eventually put me in jail, and it was in jail that I met an angel and cried out for Jesus for salvation, and got delivered and repented and got to know him again. And that's where 3 years later, the next 3 years I did a lot of Bible study, and so that explains the video I did previously, knowing the Bible. And yeah, it's just, there's no going back, and that's the thing, is like I'm totally reformed from narcissism, from the narcissism I experienced. It's gone. If it comes back, it's just stumbling, just like if you have too many teaspoons of sugar in your tea. And so that's really cool, you know. I'm living now the repented life of that. And so that's how I get into this interest, because the actual more that I'm learning about narcissism, the more I'm learning about myself, then the more I'm also learning about the enemy which has been living in myself for a very long time, the man of sin. And so it's a brilliant exercise, and I love to share what I've got with you guys, and relate it back to the foundational aspects, which are the life of Jesus and the relationship that God has with man. So relating these two studies, it's just beautiful. It's understanding evil and wickedness in these days, bringing it to the historical context of the Bible, and turning that into something new and beautiful, which brings understanding and hope and encouragement to everyone. So that's the mission, that's the stuff, and thank you for tuning in here to this video. Hope you enjoy. This video should be out when I've got a couple of days of rest, so we'll see what comes about. Ciao ciao.